Good morning, traders. Paul here with GammaEdge. Today is Thursday, the 6th of October. Let's get started. Pause your players here. Read to the bottom. If you agree, hit that play button. Summary for today. Long signal is transitioning to a full-on long. You'll see that in the next slide. The intermediate signal is currently off. It's neither long nor short, but it's about to move long if it goes above the ribbon. And the short-term signal continues. We are on day 3, so looking pretty good. Note the GEX ratios have moved up a significant amount. If you do choose to enter, be aware that you could be at a later stage entry, and there is some heat that could be associated with that. We have not yet confirmed the intermediate to long-term trends there. Plus GEX, so positive gamma exposure. The high point for the SPX has moved down to 4,300 with some size. This is good. We're about at the same price yesterday, so this is more due to calls being opened and puts being closed than it is anything else. This is good. Zero DTE hasn't shifted significantly from yesterday. It starts at about 37.55. It was well defined. It's a little wider today, but still showing that line in the sand there. The 1 DTE upside range is 38.50. It's pretty well defined for tomorrow. Fridays typically tend to be. We will note that we do have a potential stalling area around this 38.35, so be aware of that. We could push towards that 38.50, but may just take a rest before we get there. Excuse me. And then the transition range, although it continues to tighten, we still remain on the left side. We're not showing a banner advance here, so just be aware of that. Taking a look at the cumulative tick model, which is our primary timing model, works very well. Initial heads up here, day 1, another heads up there, day 2, day 3 completed, higher high, read the bubble here. Basically, we're inside of historical moving averages, so the intermediate term is turned off while the bolded CT is in there. If we're below it, it would be in cash or short. If we're above it, it's long. So the intermediate signal, if we get a continuation to the upside, is going to turn long today. If we get a reversal, it may remain off. And the short-term signal may turn off if we get a reversal, kind of like what we saw here. If this would have continued yesterday, we certainly would have turned off the short-term signal, or at least put a pause on it. Long-term signal, still down but improving. You can see this is trending up. This is the short-term moving average. The longer-term moving average, the cyan line, is about to go positive if the bolded CT moves above. So watch for those things today and tomorrow. Index ratios, as we said, for the GEX, they are moving up. And typically when we see that, we're a little later in the entry. It doesn't mean you can't enter. It just means that you're a little more prone to failure. We look at the VIX. It continues to come down, indicating that calls are coming out of the complex and or puts are going in. And since this is GEX, this is shorter term. When we take a look at the history of the various indices and index ETFs, you can see this 38.35 level in the SPX, and we're coming right up on that. Just be aware of that. Here on the NDX, you can see a pretty clean level sitting right here, and also short-term support down here. So we've got some pretty well-defined regions between the 11 and the, I think it's 11,780 to the upside. Check those numbers in the Discord. IWM remains broken. I don't pay a lot of attention to it right now, although when we see POI drop like this, that generally is bullish, so we want to pay attention to that. But in general, the IWM has just been, the Russell 2000 has just not been a participant as of late. SPY is a trading vehicle. That's why it appears noisy, but just keep an eye on that. POI is remaining down, and we are seeing the GEX levels kind of track this. So we're seeing a lot of short-term calls within the SPY complex, and that's people taking advantage of the convexity and the opportunity there. Qs, basically flatline on COI. We saw POI drop when we see POI drop like this, and also with a coincident negative gamma. Typically this is bullish, so we want to pay attention to that. And the VIX, just so you're aware, although there are a lot of opportunistic people sitting up here at 75 on the call open interest dominant, 35 is the number, and so we've got positive GEX there for calls, and then to the downside you can see right here at about 25 is where everybody's sitting for both POI as well as negative gamma. Taking a look at the key levels, we are seeing a little more of the put side go in, 36.50 on the SPX P, which is the PM settled. This is typically people getting ready for a pullback. It's not very strong. This was green yesterday, now it's red, and what that means is that the deltas have shifted a little bit in favor of the put side. Still remaining green above on the SPXP. I will note this was 4,400 yesterday. It has now dropped to 4,300. Fairly good, strong number here. I think 43 is probably gonna hold us at the positive GEX level. Everything else here, actually this should be blue, also didn't change. Everything else, 4,000 for COI is virtually non-existent in the structure. It's there, of course. It's the dominant call open interest for the SPX, but it's not liquid and it's not doing anything. The 3,600 level, excuse me, as minus GEX is holding steady, as we know, and then again the POI level at 3,000 is holding steady. I will note expected move continues to drop. 0 DTE, relatively weak. Thursdays are weak. That transition range that I was talking about is right here, below 3750. We do get some support, but it's very, very weak from the 0 DTE. We're watching for this stall up in this area, this 30, 35, 25 area. Watch this little pocket up in here, and also watch for the delta notional. This is measured from the 0 DTE. Certainly that 3850 is possible, but we're thinking the 3830, 3835, 3825 area is a good stalling area. The 1 DTE for tomorrow, very loose transition, supportive delta on the way down. Starting to see some evidence of, we are moving up in the delta notionals, which means calls are going in. That's a good thing, but you can see potential stalling areas also above that 3850 with tomorrow. That being said, you can see the key levels at the 25s, right? 3800, 3825, 3850, and this is a dominant expiry for tomorrow. Taking a look at the overall structure, basically that 3830, 3835 comes up again when we see it as a confluence across charts and expiries. This is a pretty powerful level, and we want to pay attention to it. So we are mindful of potential stalling up in that area below the 3775, 3780. We start that slippery slope in negative gamma, although I will say the delta notional, where you are seeing the puts being closed, and that's exposing the calls, turning the delta notional below us in a positive way, and that's generally supportive, and this is the overall structure. Taking a look at the upside, still very negative. We need puts to close, we need calls to open, and we are seeing evidence of that, of course. We're seeing a stronger gamma presence up there, but the delta notionals are still lingering due to the put side of the equation. Still getting some pretty strong, that hasn't closed, and as price moves up, these people will monetize as they get fear of a potential rally, which will hopefully push us up even more. Finally, taking a look here, this is the overall structure. I like looking at this just because it helps me gauge what's going on here in the transition area. We are still at the left side of this thing. Until we can clear up the negative side down here with these different lines, different negative gamma exposures, it's going to be really hard to advance. The eye is also pretty good at seeing we've got a pocket here. We're just not seeing a build out in this area, and that too is potentially a weaker area for advancement, so just be aware of that. 3,300, 3,600, 3,000, you can't even see 4,000. This is COI. It doesn't even exist for gamma purposes. Those 4,000 strikes are way out in time and having no impact on the gamma structure or delta structure for that matter. So that's it for today. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions for improvements, come join us in our Discord. You can get there by going to GammaEdge.us, click on the pricing tab, fill out the blanks, come on in, 14-day free trial, all the tools turned on. Would urge everyone to come in, meet the team, meet the traders and investors. Great group of folks. Follow us on Twitter, GammaEdges with the S, and then here on YouTube. If you like today's content, let me know directly by hitting that like button. And then, of course, follow us so that you can get notified next time we post something. So that's it for today. Make it a great Thursday. Be safe, and hope to see you in the Discord. Thanks, everyone.